Welcome to the Beatdown. It is Thursday, our last show of the week. Uh, hey everybody, Fighter Share Nation. Salute to all of y'all. My name's Brew. This is the Badger. What's going on, bro?
Man, Thursday, which is the beginning of the weekend if you're in college, and for some irresponsible adults, it's not the beginning of the weekend for us. We got one more day to do adult things until Friday comes, so we're going to be very adult-like on this show. Not as ratchet. I'm going to try to be a little more refined today. This is me just taking on a new approach. Okay, no, I'm bullshitting. We ain't gonna do none of that. It's Thursday. We ready to get it in. I'm here for the therapy, bro. What we got?
He's so special.
Ladies and gentlemen, batten down the hatches. We'd like to introduce you to the greatest combat sports show bar none. You are now in the Beatdown.
You wanna get beat down?
Let us now introduce you to your host, the Badger, and
And you thought he wasn't going to be ratchet. Listen, I know we deal with combat sports. We're here for the fighters as well as the fans. Um, One thing that I remember, I remember all the times I've been in a gym and I've seen fighters train, and I think it's good for the public to actually see fighters implement training skills. Now, one thing that you've seen a lot on Instagram are fighters swinging tennis balls back and forth with blindfolds on and moving as the feeling gets to them so they don't get hit, and then they sometimes they'll even throw jabs at the tennis ball, and sometimes you see them throw a cross or a hook or an uppercut. I mean, they're working on their timing and their speed based on their their awareness, their spatial awareness. They're not really trying to rely on their sight. So I found a clip on Instagram that displays what can happen if you try to take this to the next level when you're not ready. So,
Hmm.
yes, here we go.
What? Wait, whoa, bruh. Wait, okay, bro, bro. First of all, bro. Wait, I don't understand. Okay, I mean, I mean, I mean, uh, okay. You can stop playing now.
One more time.
So, as the young kids say, it was the sound of pain for me.
Oh,
Um,
oh,
First of all, that was a hell of a way to start the show. I was not
yes,
expecting that.
yes.
Now I get what you were leading into. I was thinking it was going to be the beginning of a crash joke, and it ended up, being stupid human tricks. I see.
A
Um,
crash joke.
what? First of all, who has C Sheen put
Has
Cadillac? You know what a Cadillac is? A 45-pound weight. Who has she ever seen put a 45-pound weight? Not alone one, but two. Second of all, how did she mount that to her ceiling? That's my next question. Third, why did she do it? Like, what was she thinking, bro? I mean, clearly she wasn't. And I'm sure the 90 pounds that hit in the back of the head probably didn't knock any more sense into her or other than just to get the hell out of the way. But what was that, man?
that was funny. That's all it was.
I was prepared to go so many ways with that, but due to the climate going on in America right now, I will
Oh,
refrain. But, bro, wow.
oh my goodness. Well,
Wow.
That's what happens when you're hard headed.
Literally.
When I saw that, I said, "Yeah, couldn't have been me.
Couldn't have been me.
Couldn't have been me."
Couldn't have been my old lady either. I ain't got one, but when I get one, that can't be her either. That is ridiculous. Like,
I'm just
we'll leave that one
saying.
alone. Yeah.
Huh?
In other news,
Yeah.
bro, what is going on with Anthony Joshua talking retirement? Now, I get the capping, I get the build up, I get the dramatization, if you will, of the pageantry of getting some of these big fights done. But talking retirement, bro, how is Anthony Joshua? We just talked about this recently. He's what, 29?
Maybe. A little, maybe. Yeah.
Give me
Here's
some
my
clarity.
question.
Tell me what you got going on. What you think? This is absurd.
What could be happening if you look at some of his other IG posts and you start looking about him being aware of what's going on in the rest of the world? He may be really starting to question what this is all about. He's made a lot of money. He's got generational wealth now. If he's used it correctly, he's able to help a lot of people. So maybe he just doesn't like this rat race anymore. Maybe he's really looking at the benefits of retiring young and doing something meaningful in his life.
I mean, in the spirit of ratchetness on this show, I gotta call bullshit. Like, what? He ain't even in his prime. And look, the sad thing about it, bro, is and I'm not gonna say sad. The other part of the coin is you could be absolutely correct. We know that Anthony Joshua is someone that, when you look at his background and how he came up and how he kind of bumped his head a few times, he seems to be a guy that's pretty well grounded. He seems to not only be socially conscious, but he also seems to have a bit of what is what I'm looking for? Humility to him. And I sense that even before the Andy Ruiz loss, he seemed like a pretty good guy all around. But since that loss, I think a lot has changed from, or at least his perspective. But man, you gotta if you Deontay Wilder, you really gotta be thinking like, what the hell is going on? This dude's talking about fighting Fury and retiring. Fury's talking about fighting him and then probably never giving you a rematch again. He's really got to lean hard on his litigation because if not, he's going to be the odd man out. And sadly, when the story is all said and done, he will be the third man on a totem pole. He has to get in the ring with one of those two guys. Those guys cannot walk away from the game,
It
and
sounds
he
like
not fighting one of them.
it sounds like something I said in December, bro.
What was that?
As far as if Wilder doesn't lean hard on his litigation, if he doesn't win, he's out. I mean, you can see
Yeah,
that coming down the road. It's you look at where Wilder is. He's the we're gonna put it like it is. He is the angry black American.
perceive.
I'm just saying how most of the
Yeah, yeah.
media portrays him. He's the angry
Okay.
black American. He
Okay.
doesn't deserve to fight Fury again. According to the media, he's lost twice, even though he really, even if you go by their record, he's only lost once
Facts, indeed,
and did not receive his rematch. So
indeed.
if I'm Joshua, though, I never wanted to fight Wilder in the first place.
Dang, and I knew you was gonna say that. I knew you
So
were gonna say it. And I
I
was hoping
mean,
that that wasn't the case, but boy,
I've got I got no dog in this fight. I don't care if I
right.
fight him or not. I'm not trying to be a hero in America. I'm already a hero in Britain. That's where I live. It would take him to take a trip to, I don't know, Kinshasa, Zaire, and maybe see some kids chanting Wilder's name or asking him why
Mm-hmm.
he never fought Wilder. For him to
Mm-hmm.
say this has bigger meaning than just what the media says. But if you're in it for the money and you've gotten the money, get out. I think it would have been hilarious if he retired before the Fury fight, but then the media would turn on him.
Mm.
They wouldn't turn on him before the Wilder fight, but they would
Right.
turn on him before the Fury fight. And the best thing that could happen to Deontay Wilder, since he's the mandatory in the WBC, is Joshua beat Fury then retire,
Right.
because then all those belts become
Yeah.
free
Yeah. Yeah.
money. That's the best thing that could happen to Deontay Wilder. Because
Yeah.
Fury, unless he wins this case, if he wins this case, great. Then Fury has to fight him. But then Wilder better deliver.
Bro, but this is just crazy. How do we go from literally 18 months ago to having a a pretty good round robin tournament of probably the best heavyweights as a collective that we've seen in the last 10 to 15 years, maybe even 20 years? How did we get hit? Oh, like this is crazy. And I guess the optimist in me wants to believe that these fights will get made, that these guys legitimately just pulling our legs and these fights are gonna happen. Because I mean, at the end of the day, especially if you're Wilder and Fury, you still got prime real estate years left, especially at heavyweight. But I mean, you still got a lot in the game. And Joshua, if he ain't even 30 yet, he ain't even reached his peak. So I just don't understand how you.
Let me this
But
this
but again, this is a combat sport, boy, bro, and these guys, they put their life on the line. They take punches and shots. They diet. They train. It's a tough lifestyle to be married to when you're as great as these three guys are.
I was gonna
Um,
say, let's take this to common
but
terms. Here's how they
yeah,
can do this. I'm
yeah,
Anthony Joshua. I still have my looks, I still have
yeah,
my health, and I still have my money. And if
yeah,
I beat Tyson Fury, now I have all the clout in the community that I live in. I can retire.
yeah,
And when
yeah,
people say, well, why didn't you give him a rematch? Why didn't he beat me the first time?
yeah,
That will be my response as I ride off into the sunset with my millions upon millions.
yeah,
Because my job is not to appease you, Joe Public, until my brains are scrambled. My job is to provide for myself and my family and stay as healthy as possible. Believe me, he already has some injuries that are going to follow him after his career at this point. Don't make brain damage the next one. Now, do I want to see him keep fighting? Yeah. But if I'm Anthony Joshua, I can understand why you would bow out when you have your money and your reasonable portion of health.
yeah. I mean, that's unfortunate, bro. But I think you might be around this one, bro. We may not get these fights, and it's so sad. But this is when sometimes the business of the sport supersedes, in a way, what the fans want to see. So yeah, that blows.
Yeah.
Um, Top Rank on ESPN just announced a fight, a damn good one. We got who they announced. It wasn't Navarre. It was God dog it. Nah, I just lost my train of thought.
Well, while you're
Dang it, I
looking
had it
for
pulled
it,
up.
uh,
Yeah,
uh, and we don't try to give free publicity to anybody that often, but I'm gonna give ES News some because he had the camera in the face of Ryan Garcia, and evidently Ryan Garcia made it very clear that the next fight he wants is Javante Tank Davis.
yeah. We're gonna get back to that because I feel like it's a lot of cap in that. But listen, the fight I was just talking about, it was Miguel Burchell against Oscar Valdez,
Yes.
a Mexican standoff, bruh. This is gonna be fireworks. This is gonna be hell of a fight. This fight also has it also has some influence on the landscape at 130, 135 pounds, bro. So I am excited to see this. Um, what you think? What you got?
Um, when I saw the fight, I got excited as well,
Hmm.
and I like Michelle.
Yeah,
I
it's
really
hard
do.
not to.
I do. So it's one of those fights that I'm glad it's not like a. When is the date? Did they put the date out?
Yes, the date is February 20th.
Okay, I'm glad it's not like a April, March or April fight. I'm glad it's something that's coming up in
Soon,
reasonable
yeah,
time.
yeah.
So I can't wait for the week of that fight so we can break that down.
Oh yeah, it's definitely gonna be a thing, bro. I am man, like you say, it's just if you want to see a if you into technical brawls, this is the fight for you. And I'm not saying that with any disrespect to either one of those guys. Um, but yeah, bro, this is a big deal. I mean, 130 pounds, bro. I mean, you gotta think. You got Javante Davis, JoJo Giaz, Jamel here. You got a whole lot of guys campaigning around this weight class and in this weight class. I like Burchett a lot. Valdez is a dog. So I'm looking forward to this fight. Like you said, we 5 weeks out. So
Hmm.
it makes for something good to talk about a little over 5 weeks. So we ain't gotta wait that long.
Looking forward to it, bro. Looking forward to it. Really looking
Yes,
forward to
sir.
it. So I felt the same way when I heard Ryan Garcia talk.
Mm-hmm.
That
Mm-hmm.
this is just posturing. This is I just want everybody to hear me bark.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Tank is hard to find. And he's talking about because when Ellie asked him, "So will we see you in April or September?" Ryan said, "Yeah, I'm thinking September." Dude,
Right. Yeah.
that's 9 months, 8 months away,
Yeah.
9 months away.
Right.
What
But it is also mixed with holiday.
it is, so is it. So is May.
But I think Canelo already has that date. He don't want to overshadow Ryan Garcia by putting him on um, a Canelo card when he can make the money himself on his own card.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but bro, here's the thing: you say Tank is hard to find. You're absolutely correct. But we have to understand that Tank is not as Tank's manager and his handlers. They're looking at the big money picture, bro.
Mhm.
And if they don't feel that, despite what the fans may say they want, and even what Javante and or Ryan may say that they will not allow this fight to happen. Tank does have several options. He has belts at 35 and 30. Maybe Ryan Garcia isn't the fight right now. Um, I don't know who is, but
He's
Tank
got.
has a lot of. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. Go ahead and finish.
No, but Tank's management probably feels like there are a lot of big cash fights out there. Um, so maybe Ryan Garcia is the next, but we do know this about Javante's manager and or management team. They moving with the money. So if these numbers come out and Ryan has done what we all thought he's done, because we're going to get those numbers soon here within the next day or two, they ain't already been put out, and we're going to see what his drawing power really is. And then I think that's when you'll see, Javante and his team kind of make a more deliberate step towards maybe trying to make that fight happen. Other than that, bro, he has too many options. I don't really see it. And we talked about this earlier last week. I said that I didn't see this fight happen in 2021.
Yeah. If I'm Tank, there are two fights that I have to make. One is if you I'll start with the first one. Teofimo Lopez.
Mm,
That's the main fight you want
mm,
because that's the money right now. Two young superstars who are going to meet, I think, multiple times in their career if their career extends.
mm.
Um, you get Teofimo Lopez and you beat him, you don't need Ryan Garcia.
Okay.
You don't need him because
Okay.
at that point you have your choice. And I know Tank ain't afraid of nobody. I get it, but you start looking at multiplying this cheddar on these belts. You can fight Ryan Garcia. Is that going to help you? You got Shakur Stevenson out there. You're going to have to fight.
Hmm.
Or do you let Lopez take Stevenson, and then you want the winner of that fight?
Hmm.
And then I mean for that, then that Ryan Garcia fight creates a super fight. Or if you get Lopez, now Stevenson Garcia is a super fight, and the winners of your two bouts meet up. But that's just me speculating. But I don't think Davis needs Garcia as much as Garcia needs Davis.
Yeah, I mean it's I think it's kind of hard to make those kind of prognostications on who needs who because right now, look, everybody's in their prime, and we would like to think, but again, we just talked about this segment earlier with the heavyweights. We would like to think that we'd be able to see these three, four, maybe five guys all kind of mix it up. The only problem is you have fluctuations in the weight class, which is what you don't have in heavyweight. There's nowhere to go if you're heavyweight. But we know Tiffany was eventually going to go to 40. We know that's going to happen at any moment now. And he may end his career at 47. He's a big kid. We know Tank is probably going to eventually move up to 40. Um, he's holding on at 30. I think for some big money fights and some legacy defining fights that may be a little bit easier, right? And then he's probably a legit 35 pounder, but he probably is going to end his career probably 140 pounds, right?
Hmm.
And the same for Ryan and Devin, all these guys. But the good thing about it is they'll all kind of follow each other. But as you move up into these different weight classes, the odds and the likelihood of you taking a loss increases because you're going up in there with guys that have already been stalwarts at their division probably, and
Hmm.
they're probably already in their grown man weight, fighting at 30, 31, 32 years old at this weight. So it's going to be a little bit different. Um, but bro, we fall victim to this again where we just want to see these fights happen, and we don't know, and we get nothing from the fighters because they're bridled by their managers. And even when they say something that sounds so outlandish, i.e., Earl Spence saying 70-30, you know, stuff like that. You can't do that, or maybe you can. I don't know. But it just seems like when these things are put out there, sometimes they're kind of just to sabotage the fights from happening in the first place.
Yeah, yeah, or see just how committed the other person is, because you got two schools of thought. If you're Bud Crawford and you just know that you can beat Earl Spence, you take that 70-30 fight and then you turn it around in the rematch. If I beat you, your rematch is 70-30 my way. Now, how confident are you in this 70-30 fight?
Yeah.
But anything can happen when you step in those ropes. So most fighters aren't going to just say, okay, I'll take the 730 fight, 70-30 fight and see if I win. No, they want some security. Give me at least 40%, if not 45% of this purse. I'm
Right.
bringing belts to the table too. I get it.
Hmm.
I get it.
Yeah. It's
I heard an interesting perspective the other day. I can't remember her name, but
okay.
she was saying in her mind, if she owned a fighting league or an organization, it will go back to the old school, real prize fighting. Like you'd have one purse and one to
Mm.
take all.
Mm. Wow. Now,
So
I mean, I don't like no, I don't like that per se, but boy, that really changes the odds. We
it
really going back to
does.
Roman day. Pretty
Yeah,
soon it'll be fight to the death,
yeah,
bro.
yeah. That's fine.
Or the loser gets thrown to the lions or some crazy shit like that,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. Lions are around the ring like a lumberjack match with lions. I mean,
We got to
listen.
stop getting creative. This is terrible. We're going down the wrong path.
Somebody's listening to this going, hey, I know somebody that got some money. Maybe we can make this happen in the backyard. Um,
Yeah.
but seriously, if you had a fight and instead of this person getting 70 million, this person getting 30 million, if you hung $100 million over the ring and the winner walked away with all 100 million, how many would
Mhm.
be confident enough to step in there?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it legitimately changes a lot. Um, but nah, man, you got to compensate people for their time and their effort. You
No,
don't
you
just
don't.
get to tell them to piss off.
No,
Yeah.
you know. That's why everybody that does sports get a trophy. That's the mentality we have right now.
Nah, nah. I didn't say runner-ups
Everybody
get
gets a
trophies.
participation purse.
I said you get paid for the work that you've done, bro.
Win.
If
That's
that's the
how
case,
you
then
get
right.
paid.
So if that's the case, then all leagues should do it. Could you imagine the NFL? Y'all don't win this week. Y'all don't get paid.
Hey, I bet you see a lot more guys at practice,
You
a
wouldn't
lot
have a
more
league.
guys not in the club.
You wouldn't have a league. It's not happening, bro. They're not doing it.
But the difference is, what I'm saying as far as fighting goes, okay, do an 80-10 split, winner versus loser. That's how professional wrestlers used to get paid. You got the winner share of the purse and the loser share of the purse. I know it sounds crazy, but that's how they built their organizations back in the old days. So, and listening to my grandfather, that's how boxers got paid back in the days. You had the
I'm
winner's
a,
purse and the loser's purse. And some guys were just happy with the loser's purse because it meant they didn't have to go back out on the docks that week and work.
listen, bro. I'm gonna stop you because you said 80-10. I know that was a mistake, but
80
you're
20.
still you're still wrong, bro. You don't, bro. What about the dieting and the training and the sparring and all that? Come on, man. You've been in these gyms. You are a hard cuss, bro. That is ridiculous.
And those guys do it for $300 and $500 paydays. So if they can do it for $300 and $500 paydays,
Okay,
they'll
hey,
do it
hey,
for a 20% minimum.
listen. Let's stop because we're going directly against the fighter share. So let's stop with that. On to the next subject, bro. Hey, Steph Curry dropped 62. Bradley Beal turned around and dropped 60 for your Washington Wizards. Bro, I know I just pivoted from boxing to basketball, but I just want your thoughts on the NBA because I'm now watching it again. And it just seems like nobody's playing defense, whereas the last 2 years I've not been watching the league transition into where it is now.
Yeah,
A little bit
you
lost.
haven't been watching the league because they haven't been playing defense for a while. The only thing they tout for defense are block shots. That's it. They don't tout shut down guards or shut down foot. They don't tout that anymore. They unless you can
Yeah.
block a shot or get a steal and dunk it. Not even get a
Yeah.
steal, but get a steal and dunk it. That's the only way you make Sports Center. So, if you could really have a team that would play that amoeba defense in the pros,
Mhm.
or the 40 minutes of hell style defense in the pros, it would shock the system. And the NBA doesn't want that because the NBA knows that it's the scoring champs that people want to see because that's who they push.
Yeah.
I mean, Steph Curry dropped 62 one night, dropped 32 or 34 the next.
Mhm.
Um, you know, and they were bragging, "Oh, he's got 96 points in 2 days." I'm like,
Bro, ain't that ridiculous? But hey, man, when everything's a constant 24-hour cycle, bro, you got to come up with shit. You got to come up with shit. So
today they're talking about on ESPN. All the shows are talking about what happened at the Capitol yesterday,
yeah.
and then they're
Okay.
sprinkling the fact in that no more Cleveland Browns have come up positive. So, I'm
Way to
like,
go,
what?
Cleveland. Way to go, Cleveland. Way to break the news, man.
Exactly.
Um, so, bro, before we talk about that, because I know you kind of want to get on that. Let's. Oh, normally you kind of we segue into a little bit of geopolitical or something. Something's going on, you bring it up. But in case if you're not, then cool. We don't have to. I am sitting back and I'm waiting on Sunday for your Ravens against Titans. But then I'm reminded there's five other games this weekend, bro. What other games are you looking most forward to outside of your boys?
Believe it or not, I'm not excited. I'm not as excited about the Steelers and the Browns as I would have been in the past. Um, Simply because, well, I'll leave that for a later day. I'm just not really that excited again about the Steelers and the Browns. Rooting for the Steelers, but I just believe that's one of those games that they're gonna make into a better game than it is utilizing the officials. Um, but that's just my opinion. I do. Oh boy, name some of the games besides that, because in my mind I knew how. Oh, Seattle and the Rams.
Man, bro, listen. I will tell you something. That game has bothered me a little bit because I like Russell Wilson
Hmm.
as the one of the. If I had to pick a quarterback, I'm taking him. I know people gonna say, "How could you? You could take Aaron Rodgers or Pat Mahomes or Lamar Jackson, even Josh Allen." No, I like Russell Wilson because it's been sustained greatness over a significantly longer period of time. And unlike Aaron Rodgers, who's always had weapons, even if he only had one, there were times when Russell Wilson had none. It was just him. We didn't know who any of his receivers was, and he didn't have a running back, right? So I'm going to go with Russell Wilson. But man, I tell you what about the Seattle team. They've been living on the dangerous edge for so long, bro, that when they get in close games against teams they should probably beat, they end up losing them. The
Yes.
close games against teams that they shouldn't beat, they win. So I am legitimately concerned about this Rams game because, bro, I would like nothing more than for Russell Wilson to get another crack at the Super Bowl, bro. But man, a division rival, wild card weekend, man, I just don't like that for them. What you thinking?
Um, I don't like it for a couple of reasons. I like for what you said, and you don't know which Rams are going to come out of the bag. Um, you don't. I mean, and then you have I forgot the backup quarterback's name, Wool or Wolfle or
Oh, yeah.
yeah, really good with his legs, not afraid to
Hmm.
take punishment,
Hmm.
and has a good arm. To me, I'm
Is
more
he
worried. Huh?
is he starting? Is he starting Sunday?
Um, McVay
You don't
has
know yet.
not committed,
Okay, gotcha. All right.
but to me, he's scaring McVay because he's showing the world what he can really do, and now you're gonna have
Oh,
to make
and
a
golf is.
choice,
Oh, I see
like
where you
in
go. You know what's
Philly.
interesting? Now that you brought that up, bro, I saw that on somebody's sports show day before yesterday, but they were saying the same thing. But go ahead, continue. That was a good point.
Nah, I mean it's just you want to start Jared Goff, but his ankle isn't healed. You got a high ankle
Mm,
sprain that's not healed completely, but you want to start
yeah,
him
and that's a
because
nasty injury.
it is, and he's
Mm,
telling you he can go,
he's
but
supposed to.
right, and he is your quarterback. That is
Mm-hmm.
your. He's tied to you. So if
Mm-hmm.
he fails, unfortunately, a
Mm,
coach's ego gets in the way, and it's like, well, if he fails, then it looks like I failed. Man, put that other quarterback in. He played great last week. What is
yeah,
wrong with you?
yeah,
Speaking of which, we haven't really dealt with this on this show. Everybody's coming to Doug Peterson's defense for taking Jalen Hurts out at the end of the third quarter and putting exactly in the fourth quarter. I say exactly is everybody's wondering what that guy's name is again. Exactly.
mm,
And you lost the game. Now you
mm,
weren't going into the playoffs anyway. You already had the ninth pick. This moved you up to the sixth pick. To me, between 6 and 9, the same players are there.
okay,
If you're not 1 through 3, 1 through 5, there's no reason that you don't see people usually before the draft trade up to get number 6.
right,
Now after the draft, the players start sliding down. They're like, "Oh yeah, give me 6 or 7," but not before the draft. 9 through
right,
6 is pretty much the same player.
right.
You've got 2 quarterbacks, so you're not trying to get
Mm-hmm.
one of those 5 quarterbacks. So what is it that you're trying to get an offensive lineman? You're not going to get the number 1 offensive lineman. He's going to go in the first 5 picks. So I don't. The only thing that in my mind is I'm going to stick it to the Giants, and it's okay. He didn't break any rules. But if I'm the owner, I don't just look at that. I also look at the fact that earlier in the season, you played for a tie instead of going for the win. So first you play for a tie. Second, you tank the game, the last game of the season,
Right.
and to get a look at your third string quarterback that you've seen in practice all year and haven't felt the need to put him in the game.
Yeah, I mean that was wild, bro. But look, aside from Doug Peterson, because they sitting at home watching like everybody else,
Yeah.
that was a great observation that you made about the Rams with the quarterback situation. Haven't really been keeping up with them, but I knew he was hurt last week.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know if it was more precautionary or if it was legit injury. But if it is a high ankle sprain, bro, those are nasty. They take longer than 2 weeks to heal, especially if it's a severe one. You could be out a month to 6 weeks with a high ankle sprain.
Yeah.
That is no joke. So, and they ain't got the best offensive line. So that means he has right. So yeah, I don't know about that, but yeah, that is interesting. Walford puts you in the pickle because people have been saying for a while, even with the Super Bowl appearance a couple years ago, bro, no one's really been sold on Jerry Goff. We kind of just been like, he's okay. I mean, if you can't get anybody better, I guess he's your guy. So that is an interesting take. But another game that interests me, bro, and I know interests you too because you have some ties to this. The Buffalo. Wait, first of all, nobody circles the wagons
Like the
like the
Buffalo
Buffalo
Bill.
Bills. Bro, I'm excited for Buffalo. I'm glad to see them back in the playoffs. They look damn good. Josh Allen looks like everything they hoped he would be. They playing defense. Man, I see. Boy, Stephon Diggs is happy. He ain't got to worry about Adam Thielen still in the stun over in Minnesota because that's what was happening.
Yeah.
Bro, Buffalo's for real. Now, on the other hand, You got Frank Wright coaching the Indianapolis Colts, and if anybody's old enough to remember who Frank Wright was, he was Jim Kelly's backup forever and won quite a few games for Buffalo's and quite a few games for Buffalo Bills in Jim Kelly's absence towards the end of his career.
including
So go ahead, give it to
that
him.
miracle comeback against the Houston
Yes, the
Oilers
Houston
when they were
Oilers down
35 to
35-3.
3 in the
Yep.
halftime.
So it's a lot of little different storylines going around this game. I like the Colts. They play hard, smash mouth. They run the football. They got these little bowling ball running backs that just get downhill and get moving. The kid from Wisconsin looking like he could. I mean, if one for Justin Herbert, probably be rookie of the year. Um, Marlon Mack from USF went down in week one with a season-ending injury. These two young guys stepped up. Um, Philip Rivers is serviceable. You know, he's not throwing the game away. T.Y. Hilton's healthy. The defense is flying around. I expect this to be a very, very hard fought game in Buffalo, bro. How do you feel about it?
I think if that meat slab from Indy can get moving and move people around, it'll be an interesting game. Um, Look, you're grown and man, you're athletes, you're getting paid for this. Unless it's like 20 below off that water, I don't think the cold is going to affect them like it did back in the old days. Um, Honestly, bro, I think it's going to be a good game. I see the Bills winning it, but I think it's going to be a good game. I think Philip Rivers, he has one or two flashes during the season now. He's not the Philip Rivers that he's getting paid to be.
There you go. There you go. I agree with that.
But
That is
he's still decent, I guess.
right.
Yeah, on the low end. It'd be interesting because they're already talking about the Colts possibly looking for one of these new quarterbacks, or one of the quarterbacks that may get let go at the end of the season to
Right.
replace him.
Because Philip looks old now. He doesn't look like he ain't stepped in a time machine. You will see that arm with that awkward release rifle some throws, and you're like, oh, he still got it a little bit. But like you said, it happens once or twice a game. That's all you get.
He
Other than
looked old
that,
with the Chargers, bro.
well, yeah, yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, he's packed, bro. Listen. First of all, Philip Rivers is a very good guy. He's a very likable guy. But let's not be fooled here. Philip Rivers has a clan. What, he got like 10 kids, 7 kids, some outrageous number like that. Yeah, he has a lot of children, bro. So trust me when I say,
that
bro.
aged him too.
Yeah, so when bruh's trying to squeeze the last little bit of lemon out of that, I juice out of that lemon, bro, I ain't mad at him. So get your money, bro.
Yeah, you better stay with her because she's gonna take half of that.
Oh
Over
no, they
half.
ain't going up. Yeah, they ain't. Yeah, that's not happening.
That's the same
That's
wife he
not
had in college, right?
Yeah. That's
And
not
she had
happening.
all those kids.
Yep.
Okay, I didn't know if he had kids outside as well.
Oh no,
Okay,
as far as I know. But
I know what he
so
did the
now
whole
let's
season.
right. So or after home games. So let's circle over to the other side. I want to talk about specifically, bro. Now, hear me when I say this, because people gonna be like, "Oh, the badge is a conspiracy theory, so he's a hater." Bro, who called a luckier break than your Tampa Bay Buccaneers? They fell to the fifth spot, which they were
Who's
gonna. We knew they weren't.
who's Tampa
We
Bay
knew they weren't.
Buccaneers?
We knew they weren't gonna win the division anyway. So we knew they were gonna get a wild card slot. But how fortunate for them that they got the Washington Redskins instead of having a rematch with the Chicago Bears, who got the New Orleans Saints.
Just so we don't receive hater mail, he meant the Washington football team.
Oh, I am so Freudian slip. I apologize for that shit nation. Yes, the Washington Football Club. Flag on the play. You're right. It's on me. That's a red flag. That's a challenge. It's not the same thing. But yes, that is the flag on the play, flag on me, the Washington football team. Yes. But how lucky were the Bucks to get them instead of getting the Chicago Bears who had already beat them early in the season?
I think they would have been luckier to. Well, I don't know. It's gonna be tough. Here's the thing: you're going up to Landover.
No, they come here. Oh
No, they
no,
go
they
to
do because they're the
Landover.
division champs. Yeah, okay.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
So Either way, I don't see the Bucks having an easy road of it. If Washington could get that defensive line at front seven really active, if they
Mhm.
can get to your love child Tom Brady, if they can get to him and put him on the ground or put some helmets in his chest, he will start throwing errant balls early and often. Um, I don't think it's going to be as easy as these people keep claiming that it's going to be this week.
So,
But now Washington also doesn't have a quarterback. Although
see,
Heineke's one of those guys that has this confidence like Tony Romo had when he came in from Eastern Illinois, and people were like, "Well, who the heck is Tony Romo?" Do you even remember who Tony Romo took over for? Exactly.
oh, don't do me like that, bro. Don't do me like that. Oh
Vinny
man.
Testaverde.
Oh yeah, poor Vinny. Yeah, bro. Tampa. Here's the thing about the Bucks. The Bucks like a bully,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
They love to beat up on teams that they should beat.
Mm-hmm.
Teams that they know they're better than, at least on paper. They gonna kick a mud hole in them.
Mm-hmm.
If Tampa Bay truly believes that they're better than Washington on paper, which is possible because we don't know that Washington has a lot to offer on offense, then this could turn into a rout. I could see Tampa,
Okay.
jumping out, and if they jump out 14, 17 points, then Washington's got to try to
Not
throw to
coming
get back
back.
in the game. And then that plays right into Tampa's hands.
But if it
But
turns into a ground game,
and that was going to be my point. Washington has a pretty good little running back there that I think he's leading the league. I think he's leading the rookies with touchdowns. I
mm-hmm.
can't think of his name, but he's a pretty good little running back. Tampa, if they get out of their ego and use Rojo and try to actually run the ball and then let Tom play action off of the run, because Rojo is a good back.
Mm-hmm.
He is a good back. He was good before this year. He was good last year. We saw flashes last year, just that Bruce Arians, whatever. If they actually come into this game and try to have a balanced attack, then I think the Bucks win this game. If they come and they want Tom Brady to throw his ball 40 plus times a game, 45 times a game, then that means that they're not running the ball at all, which means that Chase Young, Kerrigan, Sweat, and those other guys can pin their ears back and go get the quarterback. I don't know, bro.
and this
I don't
game is
know.
on Saturday, right?
Yes, because it is a
Okay.
wild
Think
card
think
game.
about the weather. It's gonna be raining, maybe
Is it?
snowing, and it's gonna be
Uh,
extremely cold. There's a storm coming through the Northeast right now. It's gonna come through actually tonight, and where the rain will leave us, it kind of hangs in there coming through the Northeast, and it's gonna be
yeah,
cold. It's
yeah. The
gonna be
Buccaneers, the Buccaneers play Sunday night. I mean Saturday night.
Saturday night, right? Now, you've played in the cold. Balls fly differently in the cold.
Everything is different in the cold,
Yes,
bro.
they
Like,
hurt when
come
they
on,
hit
man.
your hands. Even the hits hurt a little bit more because your body is kind of locking up for
Yeah,
self
everything
preservation.
everything hurts more, bro. Everything hurts
Yes,
more in the cold. It's definitely more of a mental gymnastics because you have to play. You're still, and that's the thing. You're dealing with the elements outside, so you can't pretend they don't exist. But you have to be able to try to get your way through that. I didn't think about that. I'm really inclined to look at the weather now to see what that's going to be like. Hey, a wet, muddy game might actually do the Bucks some good.
yeah, yeah. If they can move that defense out of the way, if they can move that defensive line, Washington has 4 first-round draft picks on the offensive line. Those defensive line rather. Those
Yeah,
jokers are active. They
yeah, no,
really
they
are
good.
active.
They're good, bro. I wish I had to stacks, but I want to say they've been rated as like what the third or fourth best D line in the league.
Something like that.
Yeah, I think they're in the top five if I'm not mistaken. If anybody in Fighter Show Nation, can correct me, feel free.
And
But
they're not.
yeah,
They
they're
don't.
highly ranked.
They don't get the same recognition because they're coming out of the NFC least.
Right. Yeah,
But
everybody's terrible.
right. But yeah, it's. I can't remember the zip code in DC because I was gonna put it in and find out what the weather's gonna be. But it's
You
I
could
would
just
say,
put in the, you could just check the weather for the game. Just type in, you can type in weather DC for Saturday.
look, here on Saturday night it's gonna be 39 degrees in Tampa.
What?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The
Man.
low
Well,
tomorrow is gonna be 46.
another weekend for me in the house. I ain't worried about it. I ain't going nowhere.
So actually, the low, yeah, it'll be in the 30s here or the low 40s here Saturday night. So the high is gonna be 61 on Saturday and 54 on Sunday. Not that y'all tune in for a weather report, but just understand all these factors. When you have a team that likes to pass and has all these different weapons, and they change when you get in the cold. Now, when Brady was in New England, everybody's like, "Oh, he threw the ball in New England." He had a short passing game and a heck of a running game in New England, and they utilized it interchangeably. Here, they get pass happy quite a bit.
Well, I tell you what, bro, I don't see any snow in the forecast, but kickoff time, temperature will be about 35 degrees and slowly dip into the night. So they're going to be playing in pretty much freezing weather, but I mean, that may not be too bad as long as it's dry, bro. We'll see. I like where you're going with it, but man, this Buccaneers team was built to win right now, and against a team that doesn't have anything to throw back at them offensively, you got to like Tampa in this game. Next week is going to tell a whole lot, though, because next week won't be no more wild card teams. If you win this week, you legit. So we'll get to see who they get next week, and that'll be more of a tell of what this team can really
But
be.
here's the reality: they're the wild card team.
They playing the Washington Football Club, though.
Who's the division champs? Didn't matter what the rest of the
Sub,
division did.
sub 500 record.
Right.
And if the Bucks would have
Right.
played the Washington Football Club 16 times, they might be undefeated.
No, they'd be 14-2.
Okay, they'll take that.
Listen, the AFC East, three teams in the playoffs.
North.
North. How do I want to keep calling them the
No,
East?
no, you're right. East. You're right. You're right. East. You're right. North is the Bills, the Patriots, the Dolphins,
Okay.
and
How
the
the
Jets.
Dolphins in the North?
Bro, go ahead. Don't get me started on that.
It's like when Atlanta used to be in the NFC West. Yeah, it just,
Hey, man. They just get drunk and draw the lines, bro. I don't know.
it's just. But yeah, I mean, you got Pittsburgh, Baltimore,
Cleveland.
and Cleveland all in the
Yep.
playoffs. The only one didn't make it
Yep.
was Cincinnati.
And we understand that.
Yeah, we understand that. But it's gonna be interesting because look, that Ravens Titans game, bro, it's gonna be. I hate to use the term slobber knocker, but it's if you're not into seeing linemen with bloody noses and messed up, dirty gloves on, don't watch that game because it's gonna be ugly. And I think the difference is going to be everybody talks about Lamar's completion percentage, but what they don't talk about is the number of balls that hit receivers in the hands that they don't bring in.
Mm.
It's extraordinarily high, and it has been for the past 2 years. We got some track athletes who can't catch a cold, but then for some reason, I don't know, they get on hot streaks. They just catch like 3 or 4 balls in a row. They just happen to be like 60 and 70-yard passes. But
Or catches and then turn into 60, 70-yard runs.
correct.
Yeah.
But our strength is honestly in our quarterback, his feet, our tailbacks, and our tight ends.
Mm-hmm.
That's where our strength is. Now we got Des Bryant. I don't know if they don't know how to use him correctly, but Des will catch a touchdown a game, but we need him to catch 2 or 3.
We just need You just need productivity out of this.
Yeah.
Really, is what you need.
Yeah.
Whether it's a touchdown or yards, you need him. You need other teams to recognize that he's there. Because
And
if not, they're going to double team Hollywood and they're going to try to get guys over the top. So Dez he has to make them respect him.
And I'm thinking that they signed Des Bryant because Harbaugh and the new general manager who took over from Ozzie got a lot of heat for not signing Antonio Brown, seeing that his cousin was already on the team. They took a lot of heat in Baltimore from the media and the fans. They're like, why? We need receivers who can hold on to the ball. We can deal with the attitude once you get them on the team. Why didn't you sign Antonio Brown? So next thing you know, the Bucks scoop up on Antonio Brown, and then the Ravens sign Dez Bryant. It's like, I like Dez, but let's see if he's the same Dez from a year or two ago.
But we know he ain't the same. Like I said, for y'all, just hope he can be productive.
Yes, that's what we need. And he has been. We just haven't gotten him the ball enough. So, hey, it's gonna be a good game. If we can stay ahead or at least tied with them, we can't get behind like we did last year by 24 and then try to come back because they have too much ball controlled offense. So, but I'll get off that soapbox. It's gonna be a good weekend of football. 6
I mean,
games.
yeah, it's something to be discussed, and we've done it, and I feel like our fans will appreciate it. But yeah, man, football is always king here in America. It may not be king with us because we like to bust people up with our hands and our feet and our knees, but when we don't, football tends to get most of our attention. So
Yeah.
we up against it, bro. Anything else you want to talk about before we get up out of here?
Um, there's talk of bringing a new Four Horsemen group to AEW.
Okay.
Now, for those of you who watched wrestling in the 80s, you knew about the Four Horsemen. They were NWA, WCW. It was Ric Flair, Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson, and the original group was Ole Anderson. But then when Ole left, they brought Barry Windham in, they brought a Lex Luger in, they brought a Chris Benoit in, they brought a Steve McMichael in. But that core group stayed together for most of it, which was Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, and Tully Blanchard. The last two remaining being Ric Flair and Arn Anderson. Anyway, they were the longest running stable in professional wrestling and the most famous stable of wrestlers in professional wrestling, managed by James J. Dillon. The talk is bringing back the Four Horsemen, and here's the interesting thing. Tully Blanchard is a manager in AEW. Arn Anderson is a manager in AEW. And they're talking about combinations for the Four Horsemen. One being the Revival, or F the Revival as they're called now in AEW. That's Tully Blanchard's team that he manages. Cody Rhodes, who is the youngest son of Virgil Rose or Dusty Rose. And then they're looking for that fourth combination. One of the interesting things that they're pitching is Tessa Blanchard, to actually have a woman in the Four Horsemen, who will probably come to AEW and win the women's championship because she's probably the best technical wrestler on the planet right now. Even though she's Tully's daughter, she's still on her own one of the best technical wrestlers on the planet. But I think they're trying to wait for an issue with her dropping the N-bomb in the locker room in Impact Wrestling to die down. Yes. That's why she hasn't been signed by a major organization after she left Impact and took the belt to Mexico. And they asked her to mail the belt back, and she was like, you send me a postage paid box and I'll mail it. It was crazy. But, yeah. So, it's going to be interesting to see. But don't get shocked when people say, oh, they dropped the N-bomb in the locker room. I used to do video for wrestling outfits around here locally. And it'd be amazing how many times that word would be dropped. And then you're supposed to just act like it didn't exist. I wasn't that type of dude back then. I'm still not. So I will usually address it. But you think about wrestling in general. Wrestling was the one thing way before MMA, where your average to dirt poor economic Caucasian could become a superstar and make a substantial living. There really wasn't anything else unless he was good at baseball that he could do. at one point boxing was in there, but then when you look and see the African Americans, the Latinos who came into boxing, that kind of quelched that on a major level. But wrestling was one of those things that they owned, that the Anglo Saxons in this country owned. They were held in southern communities and VFWs and pool halls, and then it moved up to municipal auditoriums right on Main Street, and they were local heroes to their common neighbors. So when you listen to the stories of African American wrestlers like Ernie Ladd or Sweet Brown Sugar or even Teddy Long, the manager, the referee, Rocky Johnson, when they talk about going to these towns to wrestle, and the promoters were very prejudiced, and the fans were you look at it now and you hear, oh, Tessa Blanchard dropped the N-bomb a couple times in the locker room and nobody wants to deal with her. To me, it's not strange. I mean, Ric Flair hangs out with hip hop, artists now, but when you listen to Teddy Long talk about talk about Ric Flair used to call him the N-word all the time. It got to the point where our manager, Gary Hart, gave Teddy Long a weapon and said, you better carry this around with you all the time because that he's going to get you. He doesn't like you, and it's only because of your color. So, as we get older and we need to make money in society, our viewpoints change. But you start looking at the roots of it, then you'll understand why Tessa said what she did.
And it's only funny that you said it because I just saw Ric Flair on Cold as Balls with Kevin Hart. So, whatever. I'm sure he had some interesting thoughts about that.
It is what it is. Listen, bro.
No, I was saying I'm sure Ric Flair had interesting thoughts while he was doing that. That was what I was saying.
Ric Flair is about sustaining and making money. And he can no longer do it in the ring as a wrestler. Trust me, he hung in there as long as he could. Then he had a heart attack, almost died. I don't know if that changed his point of view, but what I do know is Ric Flair is a really good chameleon. And if it wasn't for black preachers, Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes wouldn't have had a style. And if you
no, I hear you, and I know exactly what you mean. It's funny what you said about Ric Flair because right when I mentioned that he was on Cold as Balls with Kevin Hart last week, he was in the Migos video too, Ric Flair. So
yeah, he's good friends with Snoop and 50 Cent. You're like, how in the world? But they only saw.
But I guess I'm not really surprised.
They only saw that, as he said, limousine riding, jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing son of a gun, who wore the suits and the gator shoes and the designer shades all through the 90s. That's who most people think Ric Flair is, the only side of Ric Flair. But when you really start looking and talking to guys that rode up and down the road with him and knew him, he had that other side. And he was no different than a lot of the promoters in the organization. If you want, look at some interviews by Bad News Allen. A lot of us knew him by Bad News Brown. Real name was Alan Brown, and he was an Olympic judo. I think he took bronze in the Olympics in judo as an African American, but nobody really ever knew about that. But he got into wrestling, and that's when a lot of people got to know who he was. But he tells a lot of stories about how they beat Dusty Rhodes up in the ring because they heard Dusty Rhodes make a disparaging comment about Miss Jacqueline, who was a former Miss Texas and a bodybuilder and could legit beat a lot of the guys in the wrestling organizations in a fist fight. But it's funny because he told the story that Dusty Rhodes had made a disparaging comment about her, and based on her race or color rather, because I don't deal with the race thing. And then when they got in the ring, it was a tag team match, and they were supposed to drop. They were supposed to lose the match to Dusty and this other guy. And every time the other guy got in, they would let the other guy beat on him. They tagged Dusty in, and when Dusty would come in, they beat the crap out of Dusty. And Dusty was like, "What's going on? What's going on?" They ended up losing the match because that's what they contracted to, but they refused to lose it to Dusty. And Dusty, for the longest time, said he couldn't understand what happened. And I think they finally confronted him on it. But, these are just the things that happened in wrestling that never really made it in the magazines or nobody really talked about because, they had an image to uphold. I ain't mean to go on and on about that, but hopefully somebody learned
Indeed.
something.
Well, we up against it. What you got?
Hey, I gotta say, have a great weekend, everybody. Shout out to the Fighter Share Nation. Shout out to Sunshine, my mom, my wife, my daughter, my pops, Miss Darlene, Alex DeGracia, everybody who watches, or Miss Karen, all of you all who support the Fighter Share Report Live and the Beatdown Live. We appreciate you. I'm gonna turn it over to my brother, and I know he's gonna say something to probably incite me before this is over, but I'm gonna turn it over to him.
No, I try not to, man. But listen, we got a good week of fights coming up next week in UFC. I'm excited. We got Calvin Cater and Max Holloway on the 16th. That's in the middle of the week. Then you turn around and you get Neil Magny and the new Boogeyman, Shemaev. And then you get Michael Chandler making his debut against Dan Hook on the 23rd. I'm excited. We're going to talk about more about MMA stuff because I know we've been lacking in that a little bit. We'll get back to that next week. Other than that, we'll see y'all Sunday. And we'll have a lot of football to talk about and some other stuff too. So in the meantime, share a little love, tap on your people, let them know you care. We'll see y'all Sunday, 11:30. Be there. Be out of here. In peace.